is up, Black Mambas? Colby Cook here, ready to dissect today's trades, which was crazy. As far as profit, not a whole lot. Still dealing with a smaller account, but the moves today were insane, which is awesome. I was able to see it. I was in the chat on TechBud Solutions, and people were throwing stocks left and right, but well, let me actually mute that real quick. But it was insane. It was crazy cool. The three that I'm going to talk about today are obviously listed in the title right now, and that's SRAX. I had to remember real quick. Excuse me, SRAX, TRXC, and the last one was NEOT. And then we'll talk a little bit about Ulta, which is doing good. I'm wearing glasses because we're about to geek out on stocks. And they're fake. I don't actually wear glasses, but I have them. So I think I got them. Yeah, got them last Halloween for my costume. Clark Kent, you know, Superman. Okay, let me just get the recording ready, and then we'll go ahead and start. And we're live. Perfect. Let's break down NEOT first. Let me just start by saying, if we open up my watch list and go ahead and take a look at what I just created yesterday, which is the primary launch. That's the watch list that is hopefully going to be the movers for most of the day. As you can see, there was less in the green. That's fine. Obviously, it's still trending in a certain direction, but the four that are on there moved relatively well. But the main one that we're talking about is NEOT, as you can see right there, or partially. I'm not sure if the screen capture is actually getting it all, but NEOT moved 250% higher today, which is insane. It was relentless. A stock like this, I think I got into one a while back, and it was already up 190%, and I ended up getting in, lost some money. Was it Monday that I actually did that? I can't remember. But the stock just, it was overbought and people were done with it for the day. But this one came back. I watched it the whole day. I also kind of was watching TRXC, which I'll go ahead and pull up here in a second. But yeah, it was a good mover today. So let me pull it up on a different chart here. Let me see which one of my three screens is going to show it best. So NEOT. Unfortunately, I did not set an alert, I don't think. Or maybe I did and it just got alerted way too soon this morning, because I had so many alerts going off this morning. I feel like this might be a little bit too high. Anyways, NEOT, when marker above 58 cents is triggered. It was on my watch list at 58 cents. And then it started pulling back. So I think I was watching it even earlier. I tried to go through all of the ones that got alerted. Yeah, so it looks like it did because or if I placed two. No, I think I was watching it that whole day, because as you can see at 7:30, or maybe not, I think I actually already had that in there. I had 3 alerts on NEOT, and they all went off at 7:30. There actually might be more in there. Yep. So at or above, we've got 58 cents, we've got 60, we've got 72 cents. This thing just kept climbing. That's insane. So, 250%, and I found it last night. I went through the gappers that gapped down, and I put them on a watch list, my primary launch, based on the fact that it could finish closing that gap, and it was also trending up. So that's on my primary watch list. I'll have to go through today to see if those ones are still pertinent. I don't want to keep them on there if they've already broken the trend, or they might be, like in today's case, NEOT, if they've already filled the gap, I'll probably take them off. So those are, I'm going to have to go through all these again. But NEOT, let's get down to it. We're on the 3-minute chart here. Let me go ahead and pull up, and we'll get close and personal with this and break it down. So This is as far as I'm gonna worry about as far as going over. And actually, let me make it a little bigger by zooming in a little bit more. All right, so it didn't break through the pre-market high, started trending down, bounced back up, bounced at a level. It started trending very clearly right about 845-ish. Looks like it hit the trend line a third time. That first one, I think the trend line was a little bit more shallow, but then when that second trend hit, or the second low, highest low, in this case, the one that's on a climbing stair stepper sort of form, the trend line steepened a little bit. So it was still following that pattern, as you can see here, and then it started climbing, and a perfect buy would have been right around 124 or 125. So the high at the beginning of the day was 124. So 125, a break of 125 was perfect. And I want to say that my entry on this was 131, but I only played it on, I think so. I think I only played it on Robinhood. Maybe I did not play it that early. TRC. I can't remember. I think I was watching it this whole time, but I didn't actually play it until later. Let me see if I can find it. I should have pulled this up earlier. Sorry. So we'll hop back in. I was kind of alerting stuff all throughout our group chat that we have on Facebook, which is on, I'm in the TechBud Solutions one, but also Day Trading Stocks is the other one that I'm in. And let me see if I can find it real quick as far as, I'll move these up so I can actually see. Oh, man, I was active on Facebook today. That's for dang sure. So 17 hours ago. All right, 8 hours ago. ETRM, still a play. Archon might be if it pulls back a little bit. Let me actually go ahead and show you guys here. Actually, I'll just screenshot it like always. Then bring it over. Alright, so I actually put NEOT on my watch list last night. Check Black Mamba Investments page to see the list. And I actually went back to that and I couldn't find it where I had posted it. So I'm wondering, I swear I did though, because I went back in and edited it. And it's, because I had to take one of the stocks off because it wasn't looking like it was actually going to move. Yeah. I honestly don't know why it didn't either post, or maybe I actually deleted it. Maybe I put it in the group instead of the page. That might be a problem. Let me actually check the group real quick. Groups. Black Mamba. I did. Dang. I put it in the group rather than the my page. So let me go ahead and just so you guys can see proof. Actually, let me finish talking about the Facebook page that I have up right here. And then we'll move on to the fact that I had this on my watch list and I put it on there last night and it went up 250%. Freaking nuts. NEOT potential recovery from golden VWAP. Wait for break purple. Wait for it to break purple. To see strength. I'm trying to see where that was on the chart. That was 7 hours ago. So it might be a little bit later. But as you can see, I was talking about TRXC throughout the day. It looks like ABEO, CCR, or CCCR was moving as well. LINU was kind of moving. JNUG started to move, but I actually got into JDST on my smaller account just because gold itself broke under 1288, which was a key level from what I found the other day. So it's still, I think it has potential. JDST, I'll go and take a look at that a little bit later. But NEOT, I did call it out. Once again, primary breakouts. Let me move this over. So Black Mamba Investments, the actual page, or the group, not the page, is where I posted it. But primary breakouts, CLSN, NEOT, which was the 250% gainer today, CDXC, PZRX, SHIP, which I think is still moving. From today, it actually was green. ADHD, I believe, was green a little bit as well, so these two are potential plays soon. BW, CTRV, ETRM, GNCA, OTIC, PMTS, and RGSC. Each one of these have different levels of breakouts, so you kind of want to determine if both of them are moving, which one has more momentum, which one has more volume, which one has more potential to close the gap. So those are a couple things that you want to look at when trading these stocks. But I did alert it. I guess not alert, since nobody's in my group anyways at this point. This group, I want to be a little bit more conservative on who I choose to be a part of it. And so far, I don't think anybody's in it. But I do have a page that I've been posting a lot of stuff on, and I'm part of a couple pages as well. So that's just proof that I actually found that last night. What am I trying to do here? No. There we go. All right, so a good buy would have been at a safe buy. Not necessarily a good buy. You could have bought this at like 50 cents, and that would have been a good buy. A safe buy would have been at $1.25. Why? Because that breaks through the previous high of the day. It's on an upward trend. However, I think one of the reasons why I didn't get into it at this point, because I know I remember seeing it around 131. I swear I traded this. NEOT. I think I did. Let me pull up the my account over here. I'm almost certain I did, actually. So these are the orders that I'd put in on my larger account on NEOT. So let me go ahead and pull up the highlighter. Buy 1,750 shares of NEOT at 120. This is what confused me and kind of scared me and kind of frustrated me, but I ended up being okay with. I set my stop order to buy at 125. Once again, that was resistance. And it said the stop price as well as the activation price. So my thought with that was, usually with a stop order, once it goes past that level, you actually purchase the shares. But you can choose the limit at what you want to buy the stock at. In the case that I was using the TD Ameritrade app on the computer. So I wasn't quite sure why it had an activation price, because if I set the stop at 125, like I wanted to get in at 125, why would it activate at 120? Why would I want to get in lower if I was setting a stop order? The main point of stop order is once it hits a price, I want to get in. Kind of like Robinhood, when you set an order, you can actually choose the stop, and then once that stop goes through, it replaces it with a limit order. So I thought it was the same thing in this case, but it didn't end up happening. What ended up happening was it purchased it at 120, and I have no idea what the point of the 125 that I put in was. But anyways, I got in at 125 or 120. So even before the break, which was kind of scary, but I set a stop loss immediately once it executed, once I saw that I was into the trade. And then once it broke through 125, it was kind of hesitating around 130 level. It made a run to about 134, and I quickly put in a stop loss at 130. Now this is kind of against my whole ATRSL pattern as far as letting you raise your stop loss at a kind of an intelligent level, in regards to letting your profits continue to run, letting it maximize and mitigating or limiting loss while increasing that stop loss. So on the other side, it did run quite a bit to the point where I thought it saw quite a bit of resistance. So I decided to get out. And NEOT ended the day at well, it was trying to push through $2, but essentially I saw this stock and actually decided to get into it around the 120, 125 level. So I was here, like I said, for the whole trade. And if I would have bought at 120 and then just held it the rest of the day, sure, I would have made a lot of money. But is that smart? No, because right after, as you can see, it continued to trend up higher, so I saw that. But every penny counts, so you try and lock in as much gain as you can. And if I would have waited, there was a chance that these two red bars could have been right after this spike. Because I've been in too many trades where right after it breaks out, the volume's not really there and it slows down and sells off. So, as you can see here, it ran another 3 candles after the breakout, sold off, and continued lower. So I'll show you guys, or walk through the trades here. Actually, in this case, I'll go ahead and close or move this over so we can continue with our pattern. But I did get out at 129.25. I put a stop at 130 and a limit at a stop loss order. So the stop was at 130, and then the limit portion of it was at 122. I don't think I raised it that high. I should have locked it in at 125 as the maximum that I would want to take, or the minimum in that case. But it ended up working. So I got in or out at around 130. So I took profit there. That ended up being about, let me find out. That ended up being about $148 after commission. So that's not bad. 148 bucks. I wish it showed the time here. It would show it on my actual brokerage account besides this one. But anyways, it wasn't a whole lot of time. It was within 3 minutes, considering it was all within that candle. So I locked in $148 within 3 minutes. One candle. Granted, I could have locked in another 10 cents, 175 bucks, but I'd run the risk of missing out on the original 148, which I've done. I've been up, 125 to 250, somewhere around there. I want to say it was 250, but I was greedy and I waited because I wanted like 300 or 400. You can't do that. And if you do, then you have to set a stop loss, and I didn't. And I ended up holding the stock, and I ended up losing a lot because not only could I not trade every day because my capital was taken up by that stock, but the stock itself also decreased. So you cannot do that to yourself. You got to stop losses at a reasonable price, and you have to do it quickly, and I'm learning that, and that's what this whole strategy is about. So I want you guys to implement that whenever you can. So we'll go ahead and continue here. It started trending lower. Not trending lower, but it started consolidating, moving lower. It did not break through the trend line though. So another good potential buy, which I was considering, was at the, let's see, the high on that candlestick was 142. So 143. Obviously 1 penny above 143. From where it hit resistance would have been another 15% gain if you would have decided to get in at another safe level where it was an ascending triangle that formed. It broke out, good volume, even a crossover on the MACD, it looks like, a very slight one, so it would be kind of hard to see, but it did cross over. It was reaching a little bit oversold, so once it crossed over, I probably would have hesitated again, considered selling after about 10 cents, so it's, let's see, 143, maybe about 153 level, I probably would have considered taking profit. Even then, that's about 6.6%, which is awesome. But like I said, you could have locked in about another 15% if you timed it right and got out at the high. Is that always the case, or case of being possible? Not always. There's no way of telling what the high is. I've done pretty dang good at getting out relatively close to the high, which is awesome. And I'll continue that just because you see that it hesitates too much. and sometimes you get out and it's right at the high, which is great. But as you can see here, it started consolidating. People were getting in at 145-ish when it came back down. I did not want to do that because it broke through 150 level, and 50-cent levels are key resistance levels and key support levels, and it broke through that. So before it ended up breaking through right here, it was having quite a bit of hesitation. I mean, it doesn't seem like it considering the next candle it broke through, but right around here, it was having some hesitation, and I called that in our chat. I was like, at 150, there's going to be resistance. So guys, if you get in, be careful that you take profit if it starts moving against you. So in the case that we got in at 143 and it hit 150, that's only about 4.8% profit. Obviously, you would want to time that, get out at 149, so a penny lower, just so your order can get executed. But that would still have been profit in that case. But I wanted people to be cautious, so I said, watch out for the 150 level. Kind of hesitated around there, broke through, came back down, sort of used that as resistance for a little bit, and then once it broke through, I decided it wasn't very safe. However, another ascending triangle formed, which was great. I mean, the one downside to this is because it moves so quick, it leaves so much room with this pattern for a potentially large loss. So our pattern follows that the most recent red candlestick is going to be support. So in this case, if we got in at the new breaking point, which was 165, excuse me, then it's 12% downside. And I didn't know how high this was going to go. It might stop. It was already up 200%. Excuse me again. So I was thinking that it might be overextended. I mean, it was even overbought at this point in time. But you could have locked in another 7.5% at that breakout right there. Once again, it consolidated, came back down, started forming such a nice ascending triangle. I had to get in this time, and I did. So as you can see here, I got in. A lot of these were canceled. Oh, maybe not. These are all executed orders. I was just thinking, because I didn't trade that many times, I only traded twice. This was actually one whole day trade right here, and then this was another. They just all filled at different times, because when you put a stop order, you can't do all or none, which means your orders execute all at the same time. So sometimes they get filled at different times, which I'm glad I got in, obviously, at the time that I did. But 179 is when I got in, and then I got out at 190. I put a stop, falling very closely. Once it passed through 185, it was struggling for a little bit. So once it broke through 179 here, it went up and then came back down. This candlestick kind of scared me, but I ended up waiting, which is good. I used my, what level was it? I think I set my stop loss at 165 because that was the most recent low. So I was essentially and potentially allowing myself to take a almost 8% loss for what ended up being a 7% gain. So huge risk, but the volume was there. This was a huge mover on the day. I mean, it continued uptrending the whole day, which is insane. This was another HMNY, and we'll break down, see where we would have got stopped out if we would have traded separately from what I actually ended up doing and following the pattern that I set up. So it broke through. Right around here is where I decided, I believe, to raise my stop loss to about 180 level. And then once it broke through, as it was climbing, I was ready to put in my order at 185 as my stop loss. But then I saw that it pushed through, and I was like, all right, 187. If it pushes through 190, it might just hover around 190 and then come back down. If that's the case, I want to get out at 187. That's not what it did. It actually ended up pushing through, and it pushed to, what was the high right here? 197. I think at the point where I set my stop loss, it broke through at 190. and then went to like maybe 195-ish, around there. But I had immediately put in my stop loss at 190 as soon as I saw it broke through. And then it started to sell off a little bit on the next candlestick, and that's when I got stopped out. So I locked in profit at 190, got in at 179, and I believe it was 1,000 shares. So what's kind of stupid, kind of pisses me off, is I tried to put in 1,500 shares, but I didn't have enough money to trade it. And then I tried to do, I think, 1,250, and it wouldn't go through too. Or I decided that I didn't want to have to go back in and put in a sell order for like a random number. Granted, I could have just clicked on close position rather than go in and create a whole new order. But I decided to go with only 1,000, just to keep it simple, just to keep it even, which sucked because that was a pretty good profit. So if we take my profit from before, 1.2925 minus 1.2 times 1750. Nope, sorry, divided by 1750. I was trying to find the percentage. So my first trade was 7.7% increase, 0.79. Obviously that doesn't take into consideration the commission that you spent. And then the second trade was an increase of 6%. That is killer. That is stellar as far as every day. Obviously I can only day trade 3 times a week, but I've got 3 accounts where I can do that. 2 of them in the low thousands. One of them I put in $100. That's the one on Robinhood. So I'm playing a little bit more risky with that, but 6 and 7% on those. Hopefully if I continue to do that, then I'll kill it. So I did use 1 day trade yesterday and 2 today. So I'll have to wait until next week to use it on that account. I don't think I actually have any day trades for tomorrow though, so that kind of sucks if there's a mover. I am in JDST and SRAX with my Robinhood account, so I've got that going for me, and I'm swinging that, so I'll still have to wake up, sell my order when the market opens, or sell my stock just to go to lock in profit. But what was I going to say? I'm still in Ulta as well, so I'm going to go ahead and sell that as long as it's up tomorrow. I am actually okay with holding that a little bit longer. So, and it ended up closing really close to the high. It was like maybe less than 50 cents from the high, so totally okay with holding that over the overnight. So that was NEOT. So let's assume that we used our pattern in this case. So we saw that the triangle was forming, broke out, price dropped, we're still hanging on, downtrended, tried to validate but it didn't, started downtrending again, downtrending, and the open here was 123 and the close here was 123, so that did not validate. Came back down, and then this blue candlestick actually did validate this red candlestick, and I would totally use that because it does have a smaller body to it. Previous to the breakout, this low was 114, so we would set our stop loss at 113, and the low there was 113. So we actually would have not gotten executed on this trade. And this is why this pattern works, as long as the stock has momentum and people are still interested in it. If the interest is gone, it does not work. Even if there is interest, sometimes it does get you out a little bit sooner. That's okay because you're locking in profit. And even then, if you're not locking in profit, you're mitigating the risk by raising your stop loss to a point that makes sense, allowing it to maximize profit. So in this case, if we set our stop loss at 113, it would not have been executed and we would still be in this trade. So the price continues, goes higher, came back down, rose back up obviously, and then this price movement, this blue candlestick, went ahead and validated this low. So let's see, 120 is the low. So let me just start it out here as if we had that stop loss in there. I've got too many colors in here. I want to make it red, but I feel like it's going to blend too much with the trend line. We'll go ahead and do like a cyan, like a really bright color. I think that was actually already one of the options. Anyways, so we just raised it to 119, considering that this stop has been, or this low has been validated. Price continued higher, downtrended, went up, downtrended. When I say downtrend, I mean the price went down. So price drop, increase, down, up, validated once again. The low here was 123, so we just increased it another 4 cents. And continued higher, came back down, went higher. That low just got validated. Now we are at profit. So at this point in time, let's see what the low is here. The low is at 133. So 132. We just saved ourselves, how much was that? 23 to 32. 9 cents. So we went from a potential loss, previous red candlestick would have been that one, of 8.5%, a potential loss for 8.5% for a stock that's been moving the whole day. It's already up 100% at this point, around there. And then we went ahead and mitigated the loss while still allowing for potential to run. Yeah, you could have got out at that point, like I did, because my camera just shut off again. But oh, maybe it wasn't recording that whole time. That would suck. Let me just turn it on real quick, double check. I think it times out after a certain amount of time. Alright, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and continue on. I think it's still got some room, so. Alright, we lost you there for a second. I think after 30 minutes it stops. Yep, that was right around 30 minutes. So we just went from a potential 8.5% loss to a guaranteed 6%, still allowing the stock to run, which it ended up doing the rest of the day. So price went up, came back down, came down. This blue candlestick did not validate. The red one, red, blue, still not validated. Red, blue, still not validated. Then a blue candlestick right there. This low becomes new resistance or support. In that case, we have 145. 145 is now the new level, adding another 13 cents of guaranteed profit, locking in our support while still allowing the stock to run. We just went from 6% to 16%. We locked in another 10% just like that. Like I said, still allowing the stock to run. Continues climbing, breaks down lower. Blue candlestick does not obviously validate that huge A red one. Breaks down, boom, bounces right there. This red candlestick is validated. This red candlestick's low was 155. We move it up to 154. And we just went from 16% to 23%. Huh. It's crazy I don't actually follow this trend yet because these stocks are so risky and I'm scared to lose 8% in a day even though I did it yesterday. You have to pick and choose, but I think as long as you're there for the trade and these stocks are moving like they are, you have to be part of the trade, because if you're not, then like today I'm breaking down this ATRSL pattern with you right here right now, and it completely would have worked the very first breakout, which is good to know, obviously, but I was scared to get into it because I was thinking like yesterday, I tried to do the same thing yesterday, and I can't remember if I actually followed the ATRSL rule yesterday as well, or if I just took a loss. I want to say that I did, and it was like a 7% loss. So you're not going to win them all, but in order to make this strategy work, you have to be in them all, or as many as you can, because obviously today might have worked, in this case it did, and then tomorrow might not work again. But tomorrow might be like a 10% down day. That's okay if we're locking in 23% so far right now on the stock that we're in. So you have to be, it's quantity and quality in this case. So you can trade it safely like I did today, or you can, let's actually see where we get stopped out. Pretend like I got in at we'll say that I got in at 120. We'll say we'll see what I would have profited if I would have stayed in the stock following my own pattern. So currently, I'm going to get back to it. So it came back down, validated right there, continued higher. This one got validated here. So the low is 157. It's 158, but our new stop loss is at 157. So another 3 cents, went from 23%, I believe, up to 26%. So 3 cents is 6%. That's insane. Came back down. Our stop loss is at 157, and guess what low it hit? 158, and then it continued climbing. This pattern works. It is insane. It follows the ATRSL rule to the T. To the T. Allowing you to feel safe while it increases, but allowing you to also maximize profit. Granted, we could have missed from this huge spike up here, and it could have tanked, sure, and then we could have missed out on all that profit, but allowing it to run again, obviously we're going to be able to lock in even higher. So we're allowing it to continue. And it even could have broke through $2. Who knows where this could have ended? This could have been 300% by the end of the day. So in this case, we're following the rule. We didn't get stopped out here, continue to climb, red bar. This blue one's even with that red one, so I wouldn't use that as validation, but this next candlestick is. The low on the day here is, or on this candlestick, is 166. We're going to go ahead and increase that to 165. We just went from 26% profit guaranteed to 33%. Insane. Insane. So it continues to climb, came back down. Red candlestick, that's what we like to see. Price increased. Oh, this is the perfect top. Perfect top. I hope you guys use this strategy. Woo! Woo! All right, so the red candlestick here, the low was 180. So we just increased it to, oh, I'm choose the wrong trend line here. 180, 179. Just increased it, and that was actually my second entry point when I bought it. So we went, I think the last one that I said was 33% increase. We just locked in a guaranteed profit of 44%, allowing our profits to run. Crazy. Continued higher. Huge blue candlestick. Would you want to sell on that? Sure. It's been up 44%. You might as well lock in another guaranteed profit of, the high on that blue candlestick was another 10%, or about 9.5%. But blue candlestick moved up, red candlestick down. Blue candlestick does validate. It closed above that red candlestick. We're looking at this high or low of 185, bringing our stop to 184. Another 5 cents. Candlestick moved up, red, red, red finally broke through. We got stopped out. We went from a potential 8.5% loss to a guaranteed profit of 47%. 47% gain. Using the ATRSL pattern, if you don't know what that is ascending triangle, rising stop loss. And it works. It works. You just have to put yourself into the stock. I am still new to my own strategy, and I don't trust it fully, so I'm trying to take profit as much as I can, or as quick as I can. So I ended up getting out early. I didn't follow the pattern. I think what also scared me is I was watching the 1 minute chart, and that does not work with the ATRSL pattern. So I got out, which was dumb. So the price that we got out is 184. Price that we got in is, in this case, I think is 125. 125. 125. That is 59 cents. Divide that by the price that we got in. 47% gain. Plus 1. So this shows what it would be like if you times that by whatever you got into. So 1.47. Say we got in at, say we invested $2,500. You would have made $1,180. $1,180. 47% of your account, just like that, following the ATRSL pattern. I will go ahead and get into SRAX And what time is it? 38 minutes. I can cover it real quick. Yeah. Let's do it. SRAX. Let me go ahead and just type it in right here. This thing soared at the end of the day. And when they were talking about it, I think I actually got into this a little later. I heard them like, hey, yeah, this thing's climbing, blah, blah, blah. It was a little later. Somebody said that they alerted at like 305, which is insane. From 305, or roughly around, that's still an 85% gain. I ended up getting in once it started to consolidate, and then broke through again at 430 level. And I was actually considering putting a limit order in at $4, which it totally broke through and could have got a lower entry in. So I missed out on that position, that entrance. But it continued to climb, and with the volume that this thing had, got a little tickle in my throat. I think I'm getting allergies, but with the volume that this thing had, it was almost guaranteed to continue throughout the close of the day. But I only traded with my Robinhood account. I wouldn't recommend like a lot of money in these stocks that move crazy like this. Even then, tomorrow might open below my entry level, which was at 430. But if it opens up towards the $6 level, high fives, low fives even, I mean, obviously I'm going to take profit as soon as I can. Just because I honestly don't even know why it climbed. SRAX I don't think was on my watch list, but it is what it is. TRXC. This is the next one we're going to go over real quick. This is another one that followed the trends. I'm almost positive. I did trade this one. Go ahead and pull up my trades. TRXC right there. So on my main account, I traded what was it? We just went over it. NEOT, yep. I had one day trade on my Robinhood account, and I traded TRXC. So TRXC ended up making me $5, which was close to, I wouldn't say 52%. That's not true. The reason why it was, I think it was close to 33%. The reason why it was so low as far as the dollar amounts, 33% on $100 would be $33, right? But I had invested in JDST, which was so dumb. This is the problem. I'm not maximizing my account every trade. So JDST, and then watch, I'll maximize it, and then I'll lose. So JDST, like I said, gold broke below 1288 level, and I think it still has some potential to keep going lower, unfortunately. So I invested in one share of JDST on Robinhood to swing, because I actually didn't think I had day trades left on Robinhood. So I wasted $55 of my capital on that, and then I finally decided to day trade TRXC. I didn't get in with my larger account, just because I wasn't as comfortable with this one, even though this one is probably, the chart shows that it was less risky. But anyways, that's besides the point. I did only trade with, I think like 30, yeah, I think around like $20 to $30, which in that case would have been around 33% profit. So 490, I think this one actually did use my pattern. Minus 415 times 7 shares, $5.25. That's not what I was trying to figure out. 415. Ugh. Need some water. 18%. 18% is what it was, not 33. 18%. Not a bad gain. Not 47% like NEOT, but there was 2 stocks today that moved a crazy amount. So 490 is where I got out. Look, I told you guys that I could time the highs. Come on, trust me. 490, that's where I got out. If you don't believe me, I'll go ahead and show you. I don't want to go through the process of like getting on Robinhood online and screenshotting it. And so I'm going to go into my history on my phone, and stopped out right there. 490. Look at that. I actually don't know how close, or if if you need that or not. 1 share. Oh, 7 shares at 490. Boom. And if you want to see the buy order, whoop. Where did it execute? 415. I don't know if you can see that either. I don't know if it's blurry or not. Hopefully it refocuses. But yeah, 415 to 490. Where did I see this potential? I was actually late to the party too. What the freak? I need to find these earlier, which means I need to do my homework the previous day, kind of like what I did with NEOT. But let's break this one down real quick. I know this video is getting long, 43 minutes. I'll try and get it under an hour, hopefully under 50 minutes. But let's take a look here. Let me actually go ahead and take a look at the 1 year. So as you can see, 1 year, no resistance. No resistance. That's all we want to check. That means it can climb however high it wants. There is a break at this level right here. And obviously you kind of have to decide where the trend best matches, but in the case that these two were starting to move higher, you could draw it like that. Now the downside risk, one thing that probably would have, if not, I don't know, like I said, if I was watching this at this time, but there is a potential of about 8.5% downside. So that's a fairly large amount. It's I'm pretty sure the exact same amount that was on NEOT. So what a coincidence, huh? Right? I'll turn this a little more. There we go. Price broke out and it climbs higher. So let's go ahead and put a stop in. Pretend like I actually... I'm not going to go through my thoughts while I was trading. Mostly because they're going to be similar to as if we do this example. So, what am I looking for? The low, 336. Put it at 335. So this is where I would have put my stop loss. I know this volume is kind of in the way. I'm going to change that. There we go. Okay, broke out. Obviously, 8.5% downside is our potential. At this point, it wasn't up too much, so it still had room to grow. Like I said, I don't know if I was actually in at this, or not in, but aware of it at this point. I think I was more so aware on this leg of the trend. But either way, if we got in right here, followed the trend, this red candlestick broke down. There was no validation up until that point. Actually, shoot, there is. Right here, we would have got stopped out. Low was 383, so 382. Oh, 382 right there. Went from 8.5% loss to almost 5% profit. Guaranteed, locked in. This red candlestick did move quite dramatically, and I think at this point I was starting to watch it as it started forming up higher, and I was kind of turned off by how large that red candlestick was. Plus the volume, I believe, on this one was a little bit lower. Maybe, I don't know. That's a lot. There's a couple million right there. More importantly, the float on this is I believe 106 million. So this carried over from yesterday. Yesterday we were breaking this down. I don't know if I made a video on that one. I might have actually lost the 200 on this one. Can't remember, but this was breaking out at like $3, and it was like using that as support and resistance yesterday. But I decided I didn't like it, and I think people actually held overnight. So this is the 2-day chart. This is yesterday. So no resistance besides pre-market, mostly around 315 to 320, high float, huge spike. So that's just so I don't have to keep going back to the year chart to see, does this even have resistance, blah, blah, blah. So it did end up breaking through here, which is a huge move, just because that was the high on the day. And it didn't move very high, continued to go lower. It did, however, follow this trend for a very long time, which is pretty awesome. So at this point, we could have broken down TRXC, see if it validated any of the trends Let me actually just take a look here. Let's see if it broke through. Even at this point, the reason why I most likely wasn't interested in this stock at this point in time was because there was so much history in the past up until it broke through. And I'm pretty sure I told myself that I wasn't going to touch the stock because it had so much history. I guess not so much, but it had history, which means that it has resistance. So all these small moves between here wasn't comforting to me, so I didn't get in. Once it broke through that level, it was more of an interest to me. But even at that point, it was getting close to the end of the day, and that can be a potential risk as well, because it either can spike or decrease quite rapidly. So I think I was worried about people getting in. Yeah. After $3. Like once it passed through $3, I was like, you guys are crazy. It's the end of the day. $3. I'm sure at that point it was just going to climb higher and then drop after $3. And it did do that actually, and it broke through the trend line. So if we take a look here, it climbed to 305. So it broke through $3, which is huge resistance because every whole dollar is resistance, and then tanked within 12 minutes down to 275. So 30 cents, 3% roughly. Not 3%, 10%. But it did close still within the trend line. That's the close of the candle on that day, and the close of the day. Kept going. And then after hours, continued climbing higher. Pre-market sold off a little bit. I should have considered it. I don't always watch the stocks from the day before just because I feel like they're burnt out by then, especially if they've had a big day before. Then again, obviously, it is a potential mover too because it has that history. But I should have considered a purchase once it came down, consolidated, and started forming this trend to buy back into it because it was following the trend very closely, respectfully continued to climb, and then finally broke out once the market opened, which is perfect. That is an awesome setup. I wouldn't recommend trading pre-market. Say it broke out 5-10 minutes before the market opened. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that because I did do that once and it almost bit me in the butt. I did manage to make profit on that, but it's a little bit more risky considering small purchases actually make the price of the stock go up higher during pre-market and post-market, aftermarket. So we got stopped out there. I think we took 5%, but let's consider getting back into the stock around this level. So the high at this point was 406. So an entry at 407 would have been intelligent. And I think I did consider doing it. Oh man. I ended up locking in some good profit anyways on NEOT, but I actually was about to purchase this stock, which would have actually been better. Freaking heck. It's alright. What's done is done. I was considering buying this at 407. And I actually put in somewhere. There's way too much going on Facebook. But 407 is one that I did call out as far as an entry, obviously, because the pattern shows it. I think the reason why I decided not to with my account was the downside was about 5.5%. I have to realize though that some of these are 17.5% downside. So 5.5 is like not a big deal. So I should have considered this more strongly than I did. I think at this point when it was hitting around 420, I was like, you know what, screw it, Robinhood. I bought into the stock 415 and it continued to rally from there. So kept uptrending. Say we got in at 407. So we've already locked in 5% profit using the ATRSL rule, not based off of pre-market, but once it actually opened, and spiked up a little bit, consolidated. This is where we made our 5%, this run right here. Actually up until this point because we got stopped out right here. So that 5% right there Got us back in at 407. Climbed higher, red bar, red candlestick. Validated, boom, right there. Just gonna duplicate that. I have got the worst itch in my throat right now. And I'm about to cough again, so I apologize. 421. Went higher, higher, red candlestick. Told you. Large red candlestick. This was huge. But it came back. Blue candlestick, blue candlestick. That red candlestick is now validated. What would have been so much nicer is if this wick was a lot longer, or shorter, so that our validation point was higher. So that wasn't the case in this scenario, but the low was 455. We would have put it at 454. We just guaranteed our profit from about 3% to 11% because we allowed it to run. Then we got stopped out and we took profit. So this strategy does work. It's crazy. I could go back in and do pre-market too. So if we would have got in once it broke through there, like right when the market opened, and then sold where we ended up getting stopped out at, then it would have been 15% in the morning and then 11% later. So this strategy works. TRXC and NEOT, huge gainers today, 40%. The other one, 250%. And it actually consolidated back down to 4, but this was at $5. So this one was up close to 80 to 90%, and NEOT was up close to 250%. So the last thing that I'm going to go ahead and pull up is Ulta before we hit our other 30 minutes. I ended up calling this, I ended up buying this, not just calling it, down at the 190s level. There was good resistance, or support there I should say. If we pull up the, was it the 1 year? Yeah. So right around here, 190, there was good support right there in the past. So I mean, obviously there's support throughout all of this, but because it was selling off so much and it finally crossed over the RSI on the 1 year, and the MACD was kind of overextended at that point, I decided to buy into it. I got in at, I tried so hard to get in at 189.99. I was ready to put the order in, but I decided to change it, hold off, wait. It kind of spiked up to 190.40-ish level. I didn't want to get in, so I waited, and then after market I was like, I should really get in just to swing it. So at this point I got in at 195.73 because it was breaking the high, so I figured it would start uptrending at that point in time. But it continued to sell off, so on my other account I bought 191.99, and those are just my nicknames for them, and 191.50 after hours too. So that's perfect timing. I mean, it's uptrending. I sold 2 of them, looks like on the Mamba and Africa one. So these 2 right here. This one I wanted a little bit more profit, so I waited. And right now it's finally breaking through. So I think this is going to at least hit 205 level, if not higher tomorrow. I'm willing to hold off. It closed the day higher, which is awesome. It could sell off, but similar to this one sold off till the end of the day and then opened lower and continued to go lower. And then this one closed higher, which to me signifies that it could open higher tomorrow. So I decided to wait. I was going to take profit at 202.50, which is only 20 bucks after commission. But this is my long-term account, and I'm willing to take 1 to like 5%, if not obviously more. I'll take that. But on these small trades, I just want to guarantee profit, and trading these long-term stocks that I'm comfortable with, I'm able to do that. So that's all for now. This video is 1 hour long. Hopefully the camera doesn't turn off here. Thanks for joining us, Black Mambas. Colby Cook, 10, 17, 17. We're done. Hey. Hey, right? You didn't hear anything.